Andrew, I want you to know your Mustang is the first one on the path.
Shit, this shit right here pretty cool.
You guys have asked for it, and I'm gonna give it to you. You wanna know my thoughts on EFI versus carb. There is a lot to be said about this topic, and a lot of you feel some type of way about it. I will not apologize for anything that is said in this video because it is from my personal experience. If you don't agree, feel free to type away down in the comment section. But for me, this is my experience with these cars and Andrew. So first off, let me ask Andrew. I'm just gonna ask him since he has a carbed car. You've owned fuel injected, you've owned carb, same as myself. What's your take on these not being reliable as far as like a carbureted car not being streetable and reliable?
It's way more reliable than it was when it was fuel injected. Don't get to the red light and start idling at 1300 RPM every now and again. And you have to keep doing base idle resets and adjusting stuff and blah, 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 and over it's a never ending battle. You're never gonna keep it right. You're always gonna have to mess with it. That right there, I don't have to mess with it.
Look at all the stuff to make these fuel injected cars run. One sensor go bad, one wire over here. This little wire right here, if that thing breaks, you're shit out of luck. If your coil wire breaks or something like that on either one of these cars, you're gonna have an issue. It's not gonna run, right? But like Andrew said, you chase idle issues with fuel injected cars all the time. This car right here, it wants to idle up sometimes, idle down. But guys, it's just the facts, okay? These EFI cars, they make good power, stock, in stock form. They're pretty reliable, but as soon as you start changing stuff on them, you start having issues. You go over here to Andrew's car, there's really not a lot to go wrong over here. Your MSD box maybe could fail or something like that. But for the most part, this is pretty simple. Literally, that carburetor sits up there, supplies the fuel, and as long as you got spark, this thing's gonna run. Let's go ahead and start both cars up. How about that? I'll let Andrew go in here, bust his off. Let's see which one starts easier, if there is any difference at all. I don't know. Your foot on the gas?
I didn't have the timing turned down all the way, so it's hesitated for a second, but
Your foot's not even on the gas.
nah, I just keep it there just in case it starts cooking. But most 99% of the time, it just busts right off.
Look at that.
That's that Calypso killer right there, buddy.
All right, watch out now. We ain't going there. Typically, my car does not start that good. Now, granted, that's probably in the tune, but at the same time, that's my point, right? That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. So let's go in here and start this one up. And don't mind all the, like, lifters tapping and valves rattling. We're not even gonna go there.
She's a little tired.
Yeah.
She's drowsy.
So what time it starts?
Yeah, actually started like the best startup I've ever had.
Okay, so both cars started pretty good. Honestly, I think Andrew's car probably started a little bit better. If you want to stay NA and you just bought yourself a Foxbody, no boost, none of that, what would you do?
I put a carburetor on it, but as long as it's not like, I mean, you get like a 20, 30,000 mile original car or something like that. You know,
Exactly.
But you ain't gonna be, most of the time you ain't gonna want to make no power on those anyway.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I want to cover here. If you're wanting to make more power, right, NA, really the carb's probably going to make more power than an upper lower intake car with a cam head, stuff like that, right? Fuel injected. And I know this from personal experience. Seat of the pants, you throw a good carbureted setup, like basically rip off your fuel injection stuff, throw a carburetor on it, throw a cam in it, and I promise you it's going to make really good power. It's probably going to make more power than that upper and lower intake, or really close regardless. You're also going to be a good bit cheaper going the carburetor route. Now you can spend a lot of money on a carburetor. Now let's talk about adding boost. So blow through setups do work.
If you know them, they make good power.
Yeah.
I mean, but I just don't want to go through the nightmare of trying to tune a blow through setup on the car. Man, screw that.
Exactly. So the blow through setups are kind of aggravating to work with. Everyone I've ever been around has had nothing but trouble. I'm not telling you not to do it. If you know the secret to it, then by all means go that route. I don't know the secret to it, or nor does anybody that I know of, so I pretty much stay away from that. So forced induction, I would stay with EFI, honestly. Let's just talk about power adder in general. So that means nitrous. But look how simple this setup is right here with the nitrous stuff. It's just simple and it works. Carburetors and nitrous just go together hand in hand, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have anything. That's literally just a plate and a button.
That's it. So over here on this car, if you wanted to go nitrous, I mean, yeah, it's still pretty simple. You can buy a plate kit that goes in between here. You've got the nitrous plate that goes down below your upper and lower intake, and those work great. So you can't just throw nitrous on these cars and go out and start hitting them. I mean, you can with a very small shot. We've done it before with mass air cars, not speed density. But it's so much easier on a carbureted car. You literally change jets out and you're good to go. So honestly, as far as just power adder goes, well, as far as nitrous goes, the Carb wins out on that too. Would you recommend doing this to, say, like a 20,000 original mile car?
No.
Rip the fuel injection off and throw a carburetor on it?
No, I'd leave it.
No, I mean, obviously we're not talking about that, guys. We're just talking about if you've got a car that's a project car and you're trying to decide whether you should go EFI or you should go Carb. I mean, in a sense, Carb is really the way to go. You can pick up a used carburetor for what, about $350 to $400 for a really good one.
Yeah, I think I paid $325 for that.
So I'd say what, $300 to $400, it just depends. Intake, you can buy those used all day long for around 100 to 150 bucks, something like that. You gut your fuel pump in the tank back there and just go that route. That's what we did with Andrew's car. Andrew's car actually still has rubber lines, still has rubber hoses underneath it. Yeah, for now. But look, guys, don't knock that type stuff, right? It works. It's worked for years and years. All this AN stuff is relatively new in a sense. I mean, it's been around, but guys have ran rubber lines forever. What do you think's inside of that AN line? This car has a 175 shot on it, a B303 cam, a 650 Demon double pumper, Victor Jr. intake. It's got MSD ignition. It's got GT40P heads, home ported, 1.7 roller rockers. 1.7 roller rockers, built C4 with a 2,500 stall, 2,800 stall, stock bottom end. But let's go over here and talk about this car. Bone stock bottom end, trick flow stage 1 camshaft, SVE 170cc heads, box stock, 70 millimeter on 3 turbo, GT40 intake, box stock there, and 60-pound injectors.
Let's see. He's got aluminum heads on it. He don't like telling people that.
I just told him, Andrew. Now, Andrew's got a C4 in his, and I have to actually shift gears like a man. So, with that being said, let's talk about this real quick. How do these cars stack up? Well, they probably make around the same power on 12 pounds. Very, very close power-wise. And much over 12 pounds, guys, you're kind of risking your bottom end on this car, because, I mean, this thing probably makes right around 500 to the tires. On 12 pounds. I don't know. We've never put on a dyno, but it's probably close. To outrun his car, it's probably going to take around about 15 pounds to outrun this car. Now think about this for a second. Look at all this stuff right here, right? Look at that. All this. Big turbo over here. All this crap. Let's go over here one more time just to remind you guys. Carburetor. There's nothing else to look at. I mean, there's a couple nitrous solenoids. This car is still fast by today's standards. So I'm going to show you guys a video where we raced and I was on 12 pounds of boost. Andrew actually let me leave on 2 because I was having a boost issue, couldn't get up in boost, and also I didn't have any tires on it. We do have tires now. We're going to rerun this race, but I want to show you guys exactly the difference between these two cars, and it's pretty close. All right, so now that we're back, what do you guys think about that? Pretty impressive, right? So I want to kind of close with saying this. Either way is good. Don't misunderstand me. If you want to stay fuel injected, by all means stay fuel injected. If you have a very low mileage Foxbody, do not rip all that stuff out, put a carburetor on it. I mean, if you want to, that's fine, it's yours, but I wouldn't do it. If you have a project car and you really want to go fast, a little cheaper, go carb. But this is where it starts to change. If you wanted to upgrade from here, a lot of the money's already spent. Plus, you can always sell a carburetor, you know, that quick. So with something like this right here, I mean, you can about 1,100 bucks, you can get yourself into something like this. And guys, it's very competitive. And look, you can come out here in the early morning, touch the key on this thing, and it starts up pretty much the same, right? Maybe one pump on the accelerator. That's about it. And there's something about driving a carbureted car. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's raw. It just feels good. I don't know. The EFI stuff is nice too, but just something about the way these carbureted cars run. And like I said, guys, you
hit a lot harder.
Yeah, and the cam does hit a lot harder. So around 2011, I put the B cam in this car. It hit okay. It sounded like the red car, like the Retro Fox. He did the heads, did the carburetor, did all that. This thing is obnoxious now to only have a B cam in it. So anyway, I guess that's an added bonus if you go carbureted. So let me ask you something. How would you feel about driving this car, say a long distance, say you had the gears and a 5-speed in it? Would it bother you that it has a carburetor on it?
Kind of 5-speed, and I'd drive wherever I wanted to. But
Yeah.
I could now with the C4 because I don't have no gear in it, but it's just kind of obnoxious to ride around at 3,000 RPMs all the time.
Would I go carbureted on this car? Hell no, absolutely not. We've built something over here that I'm proud of, and we're gonna leave it the way that it is. Would I fuel inject his car? Hell no. He's built something over here that's nice and it works and it's fast. So, you know, just roll with whatever it is that you got, I guess is my point. So I want to touch on the tuning real quick. Like obviously anything that you do with an EFI car, for the most part, you're gonna have to go get it dyno tuned. So with that being said, you're gonna have to buy some type of software to be able to do that with. So it's costly, it's dyno time. Carbureted car, not the same animal. You literally can do anything you want to do to this thing and just rejet it for the most part. You throw a different set of heads on it, rejet it. You want to go bigger cam, rejet it. Or you might not even have to. That's the thing. Pretty much going to use whatever it needs up to a limit. So if it needs more than what that carburetor can supply, then at that point you might need to upgrade carburetors. Now this car was put on a dyno and was tuned on a dyno. Not a lot went into it. They didn't even change the jets on it. So basically you just adjusted the carburetor out, right? Adjusted a few things. This car has a wideband. That's something else that I want everybody to understand. You can still run carbureted and have a wideband. You can do all of that stuff. So that allows you to tune the car, you know, adjust the jets, adjust the carburetor, all that type stuff.
Relatively cheap.
Yeah, pretty cheap. He's got the same wideband that I've got in my car. Anyway, guys, I think that pretty much sums this up. I don't want to, I mean, we could talk about this forever. I know it sounds like I like the carbureted car more than the EFI stuff. It's not that so much. I just think that it needs to be said because so many people hate on the carb cars, and you just shouldn't. You really shouldn't. A good carbureted car will take you anywhere that there's a road. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching. Carb versus the EFI. Got a loud ass scream.